So yeah, this is before the summit.
What do you do over there? When did I say I was confident? What I said was, let's get it straight. I said what
A gay vegan clown?
is the rest of the world reacts to them and it diminishes their standing in the world. I'm not confident of anything. I'm just stating a fact.
But given his past behavior,
I would buy artwork of Putin as a gay vegan clown.
he denied any involvement in cyber attacks. He downplayed human rights abuses. He even refused to say Alexei Navalny's name. So how does that account to a constructive meeting as President Putin?
If you don't understand that, you're in the wrong business.
Is the summit with China next?
Cool, we need to load. Cool, we need to load quickly. Let's go. Quickly, cool.
If you don't understand that, you're in the wrong business, Jack.
Mr.
Oh yeah, we're oh, no, we already played some of that. Here we have apparently Biden refused to take questions from only a few sources, and the right wing is outraged by it. Like,
It's about a mutual self-interest. I'll take your questions, and as usual, folks, they gave me a list of the people I'm going to call on. So, Jonathan,
of course, his press office gave him a list of the people he was going to call on. It was all pre-approved. I hate to tell Fox News, but that's how it's always worked. That's how it worked with me when I went to the press pool for George W. Bush fucking 15 years ago. I knew I wasn't going to get asked a goddamn question. Jesus. But still, they made a story about it. President Biden was mocked for saying the quiet part out loud on Wednesday when he admitted at the outset of his press conference in Geneva he would only be calling on reporters from a prepared list. I'd love to have some random questions. Fucking Trump didn't take random questions. No president takes random questions. Oh, I'll take random questions. 917-830-4359. Come on here, try to make me look stupid, motherfuckers. Yeah, exactly. Fucking Fox trying to make a story out of nothing. But I mean, I saw them fucking upset over him taking his jacket off because it was hot outside.
David Sanger. I thought I just saw David. There he is.
For some reason, this made right-wingers' heads explode.
In the run-up to this discussion, there's been a lot of talk about the two countries spilling down into a...
No, he's got a strip for us. Are you ready for content warning, fuckers? You're getting ready to see Joe Biden strip.
Take my coat off. The sun is hot.
Anything that would make you think that Mr. Putin has decided to move away from his fundamental role as a disruptor, particularly a disruptor of NATO and the United States. And if I could also just follow up on your description of how you gave him a list of critical...
I don't know how there's not somebody running up on stage like, here, sir, let me take your jacket. What the fuck?
Was that the penalty would be for
But why is Fox News all upset?
respond in any way to it?
You make a good point. He probably didn't dress him. I'm assuming Jill dresses him. He's able to take his jacket off.
Cyber capability.
It's 90 fucking degrees, 95 degrees outside. I don't know what it was in Geneva today. It was somewhat pleasant here. It's not very pleasant out west.
He knows. In the cyber way.
He was struggling. Well, as I said last night, I'm not mocking him the way the right wing is, but I mean, let's face it, he's 80 years old. He has lost a step. If he was going to be president, I would have rather him been president fucking 5 years ago when he actually still, like, he was on top of it. You go back and watch interviews with him, like, the motherfucker's snappy. So like this slow old man has indeed lost a step. I totally admit to that.
You need to move it in a more aggressive way than in terms.
This is a shell of what he used to be.
And
and hey, 30 years ago he was piffy.
Cold War.
I didn't like any of the shit he said 30 years ago, especially when he was like riding the wave of the Blue Dog Democrats.
10 years apart. This is not a kumbaya moment.
But like he could talk.
It's like, let's hug and love each other. But it's clearly not in anybody's interest.
Yeah, Biden used to sling his dick around. That was the problem, is Biden used to swing his dick around a lot, and then he would knock some shit over with his dick, and everybody would laugh at him. And that's why he never got to be president until
That does not
now.
mean he's ready to, quote, figuratively speaking, lay down his arms and say
He was just the last of the good old boys club that they could pick from
concerned about being, quote, encircled.
in the situation
We, in fact,
that we found ourselves in. Now let's take a listen to Vladimir Putin. A toolbox indeed, I will give you that. Listen to Putin
President
say something incredibly interesting that I will be more than happy to throw up into the faces of any right-winger. I don't know what we're going to get here, if we got closed captioning or if we've got somebody
Biden has
translating
said
for
that
us.
he would respond if cyber attacks from Russia do not stop.
Putin.
I'm curious, what did he tell you? Did he make any threats? And a quick
89 degrees, that's shit. You're standing in the direct sun. I'd want to take my jacket off too.
imprisoned or jailed is long.
I'd take my jacket off, I'd be rolling my sleeves up, I'd be unbuttoning the shirt.
An end to corruption. But Russia has outlawed that organization, calling it extremist. And you have now prevented anyone who supports him to run for office. So my question is, Mr. President, what are you so afraid of?
Getting asked about Alexei Navalny.
Okay. Once more, let me reiterate what was already said about various so-called foreign
Putin.
agents
Putin.
and about people who are positioning themselves as the non-systemic opposition. I already answered your colleague from CNN, right?
It sounds a lot like poutine, which is a decent dish. And we should not soil it. Oh God, I'm not. Poutine. God, I can't. Putin. It sounds like one of those, like, did you ever have one of the, this was when I was working as a kids photographer. There was this, so of course you didn't have one when you were a kid. It was like the early 2000s. There was this little worm, and it had buttons on the side of it that had, like, you could like make it say the consonants or the vowels and everything. But if you made it, you know, F-U-C, or I think it was F-U-C, it might have been F-U-K. You can make it go, fuck. I used to do that all the time in the Walmart as like a 19, 20-year-old. Laugh my fucking ass off. Don't do drugs, kids.
But this is the law of the genre, so I have to answer your question, please. I'll do it again. The United States has adopted a law in accordance with which the U.S. has said that they will support various political organizations in Russia. At the same time, they made an announcement that the Russian Federation is an enemy. They've spoken publicly, saying that they will restrain the development of Russia. Here's a question. What organizations, what political organizations of the United States and other members of the Western community, which organizations should be supported in Russia, especially if they're paying for them? We're just like the Americans back, the way the Americans did back in the 1930s. We're calling them foreign agents. But it's not prohibited. They're not prohibited from working. They can continue to operate. Foreign agents don't need to stop operating. If they are extremist in nature, then that's another issue. The organization that you mentioned has publicly called for a mass disorder. They have publicly called for breaking the law. They called for minors to participate.
Now, I want you to follow closely. The organizations that Putin is speaking about, I would assume right-wingers are on the side of, you know, freedom, Hong Kong, all that shit. Apparently, right-wingers are really big into protesting the government unless it's BLM here in this country. But I assume they're on the side of the organizations protesting Putin in Russia.
Participate in activities that were against the law, and they were talking about using Molotov cocktails against the authorities as well, including against police. America just recently had very severe events after well-known events after a killing of an African American.
Putin speaks English, like, not well, I assume, but, like, he understands, like, motherfucker's smart. I assume he understands English. So you might be right. Like, he might know enough to know that, like, the translator makes him sound like a pussy.
And an entire movement developed known as Black Lives Matter. I'm not going to comment on that, but here's what I do want to say. What we saw was disorder, destruction, violations of the law, etc. We feel sympathy for the United States of America, but we don't want that to happen on our territory. And we're doing our utmost in order to not allow it to happen. And some fears that has nothing to do with anything. Please. Could you give me the microphone, please?
You didn't answer my question, sir. If all of your political opponents are dead, in prison, poisoned, doesn't that send a message that you do not want a fair political fight?
Oh, absolutely. That's exactly the message he wants to send. Yes, yes.
As for who is killing whom or throwing whom in jail,
It's you.
people came to the U.S. Congress with political demands. 400 people. Over 400 people had criminal charges placed on them. They face prison sentences of up to 20, maybe even 25 years. They're being called domestic terrorists. They're being accused of a number of other crimes. 70 of them were arrested right away after the events, and 30 of them are
This is why this is fascinating, that he's actually taking hard
on
questions.
what grounds? And as for nobody from the official authorities has informed us about it.
Absolutely. This is 100%. What he is saying is so fucking, like, and it's cutting both sides. Like, it can be used by the right against the left. It can be used by the left against the right. Like, this motherfucker is good.
Some people died, and one of the people that died, they were simply shot on the spot by the police, although they were not threatening the police with any weapons. In many countries...
See, there you go. He's stoking the right wing right there.
In our country, I'd like to stress once more that we sympathize with what happened in the United States, but we have no desire to
Wow.
happen in our country.
That is so cagey. Fuck, he's good. Like, no. He is a shit human being. Absolute shit, corrupt individual. But man, he is intelligent as fuck. And trained by the KGB to do exactly that and do it so effectively. Holy shit. Let's see what Biden had to say about the actual meeting with Putin.
Well, I've just finished the last meeting of this week's long trip, the U.S.-Russian summit. And I know there were a lot of hype around this meeting.
Can you be a dumb yet effective killer? I want to say yes. I would say there are idiot savant killers. Yes. I would say there are people that are dumb in every other aspect of their lives and are just amazing at killing. Yes. There are hunters in Appalachia that prove that correct, I do believe.
But it's pretty straightforward to me, the meeting. One, there's no substitute, as those of you who have covered me for a while know, for face-to-face dialogue between leaders. None. And President Putin and I had share a unique responsibility to manage the relationship between two powerful and proud countries. A relationship that has to be stable and predictable.
I'm worried that murder porn is teaching a whole generation of people how to fucking get away with murder. I worry about some of my friends sometimes, some of the shit they say. You people and your fucking Netflix murder documentaries. Yeah. Those Discovery, like, what's that channel? ID Discovery or whatever the fuck. Shows that shit like 24/7. I like court stuff anyway, so like I've watched, like Making a Murderer or whatever the fuck that was called. So I like courtroom drama. I don't give a shit about your like reality show bullshit. Clearly, I watch fucking courtroom shit here on the show.
And we should be able to cooperate where it's in our mutual interest.
I know you were a winch.
I want President Putin to understand why I say what I say and why I do what I do, and how we'll respond to specific kinds of actions that harm America's interest. Now, I told President Putin my agenda is not against Russia or anyone else. It's for the American people. Fighting COVID-19, rebuilding our economy, reestablishing relationships around the world with our allies and friends, and protecting the American people. That's my responsibility as president.
I don't
told
like
that no president of the United States could
Biden's
dictate to the American
speech
people if they
in
did not
contrast to
speak out,
Putin's. Like Putin's was
defend
so
our democratic
effective.
values, to stand up for the universal
In just sheer
and
rhetoric, I stand in awe of what Putin
and
did.
in our view, that's just part of the DNA of our
Like
country.
what the fuck? Like
So human rights is going to always be on the
Biden ain't doing shit except coming out and doing the normal like rah-rah USA platitudes that worked for presidents throughout the 90s. I think we're in a different stage of politics, and Biden is not up to that challenge. It doesn't mean that the administration doesn't have competent people in it, because it does.